Welcome to the Ready, Set, Click podcast, where we talk digital marketing strategies. Grab a coffee or something a little stronger and settle in for this episode.
I'm your host, Paul Kahn. With me today is Bethany Braun Silva. Bethany is an author, podcaster, and content creator. Welcome, Bethany.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we're also joined by Molly Skotak, who is a senior communications manager at Yoga Sleep. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you.
And Molly, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing at Yoga Sleep?
Sure. So I've been at Yoga Sleep for a little over 5 years now. We are essentially invented the very first white noise machine. Our company's been around for over 60 years, if you can believe that. And really our focus has been on making the best quality white noise machines since the beginning. And now we've really expanded to all other tools for sleep, but really our goal is just helping everyone, especially families, parents, sleep better, live better, and, lead happier lives.
I got to tell you, as a parent, I really need to sleep better and I really need to live better. And Bethany, can you tell us a little bit about your work as a podcaster, as an author, as a content creator overall?
Yeah, it feels like I do a lot, but it's all under the umbrella of what Molly was saying, to help parents and moms lead better lives. But I've been in digital media for about 12 years as a writer, editor, and content strategist. And then most recently, yes, I did launch my own podcast called The Breakdown with Bethany, and I get to interview some incredible moms, business owners, entrepreneurs, things like that. And I think that's it. What else? I just wrote a book.
Oh, nice. Tell us what your book is.
Yeah, it's called Like a Mother, Banish Guilt, Blaze Your Trail, and Break the Rules to Create a Life You Love. So again, really, really entrenched in that motherhood media.
So wait, we're banishing guilt from motherhood? I'm not sure about that.
It's a challenge.
Can you get that book to my wife, please? Because she definitely needs to banish some of her.
I think I need to read it.
I know. All right. So let me start the question by this. Who got a great night's sleep last night?
Well, I know Molly didn't.
Yeah.
I did not. I slept on a couch, which was an improvement from a airport bench. So
yeah, Molly had a
travel day.
And we really want to thank you for being here. So,
of course.
We talk about sleep and we talk about the benefits of sleep. Can you give us a little sense of why that's so important for everyone, but parents in particular?
Of course. I mean, any parent knows sleep is such a hot topic. As a new parent dealing with a newborn, there's probably hundreds of hours that, you talk about how to get your baby to sleep faster, sleep longer, have longer quality sleep. It's just such a fraught subject, but it's, all experts, medical experts studies say sleep is truly the foundation of better health from a holistic point of view. It's really, supports everything, mental health, energy. It's just, if you have poor sleep, it, ruins really the rest of your day, and it makes it impossible to focus or really do what you need to do. And when you're a parent and you can't do that, the stakes are so much higher. So that's why, getting a good night of sleep is just so crucial. And I think more and more people are realizing that now. It's definitely become more of a hot topic within health and wellness. And then, even within the content creator conversations that we're having.
So that's really interesting. I want to talk about how content creation is sort of growing up with the first generation of digital natives, as it were, right? Millennials are parents now. And so that changes the dynamic in terms of content creation for these types of products. Can you talk about how that has sort of filtered through with Yoga Sleep?
Sure. I mean, I recently read a stat. I think over 40% of millennials identify as parents. And we don't want to leave Gen Z out of the conversation either. I also recently read that in a few years, the majority of first-time parents will be Gen Z, which kind of blew my mind. So
that's actually terrifying if you know Gen Z people.
It is. But I have a lot of faith in Gen Z. They inspire me as an elder millennial myself. But really, so much of their looking for help, years ago, it would be you talk to your friends who already had kids. You talk to maybe your parents, get advice, kind of word of mouth. Now it's really people, especially millennial parents, they're going to TikTok, they're typing in their questions, they're scrolling for answers from everything, not just sleep, any kind of parenting quandary, which, as any parent knows, there's a million a day that you need, quick, immediate answers for. So for us, like working with content creators was a no-brainer because they really, it's become kind of that word of mouth or like that friend that you check in on Instagram. And there's so many that even just have started their platforms fully just all they talk about is sleep. That's like their niche topic. So it's been really great to kind of identify and find those creators and work with them authentically.
And Bethany, this is your space. So like, can you give us a little sense of what a content creator in this parenting space, how they can help the other parents of this world?
Yeah. I would love to also just piggyback off of what Molly was saying, because we do look to Gen Z a lot to like set the trend as far as like workplace flexibility or mental health. They are, really leading the charge there. But to answer your question about millennials and, partnering with brands, we were the first, right? I'm an elder millennial myself. So we are definitely like, we're sort of leading the charge of that evolution, right? Before it was, maybe taking that product for free for a post or something, but now we have better demands. We're asking for, equal partnerships. Maybe it's like a collab as far as like a co-branding thing. But to answer your question, I think, yes, we are the generation that grew up with social media. A lot of the social media that we see is, really based around, what we asked for, what we demanded, and now we're using it to find the best products to make our lives easier, to relate to other parents when we're stuck at home during a worldwide pandemic. I mean, social media has a lot of negative things, but in my opinion, for mothers, and we can talk about all that mom shaming. Well, actually, we shouldn't talk about it. We really shouldn't. It's not even worth the conversation about social media mom shaming. But what I would like to say is that it can really be such a benefit because we're exhausted, we're isolated. And social media is a great place to go for connection and maybe to make a buck.
Let's say I wanted to help out in this market. Do you have any recommendations based on what Yoga Sleep has found success with on really smart ways to partner with influencers?
Sure. I mean, again, as I said, it's all back to really like one-on-one in like relationship building, which takes a lot of work, right? Like it's just like any relationship. Like you can't just, I think like the more transactional kind of partnerships we have don't always give us a great return in terms of the quality of the content, or you can even tell when a content creator's kind of like phoning it in, right? So what my biggest advice to any like brand manager is find those content creators who already authentically love and use your products. And luckily for us, that's really how we got started in that space, because I just saw in our organic social media so many customers, parents, just lovers of our sound machines tagging us in posts just fully organically. And it was like, hey, why don't we, leverage this thing that's already happening? But yeah, finding people who already love your product, it takes a lot of research, I think, to really understand the niche of who you're trying to target. And that's just there's a lot of pre-research to do. And then just testing, you never know what is going to be a great partnership without trying. So, we work with micro influencers, all the way up to, nano or macro.
All right, let me ask you, what works best in your experience, if you don't mind sharing? I mean, I'm not trying to get you to, give the recipe for the secret sauce.
It's a difficult question. But again, I would say what works best is finding creators who you like, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't want to work with people who are difficult.
So no divas. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
No jerks.
And if you can find those partners that love you and you just have a great rapport with them and you love the content, their content just nails it every time. Like we will go back and reinvest and rework with the same creators. But again, it's a lot of trial and error, because sometimes we'll find people and we're like, oh, they're a perfect fit. They love our product, but for whatever reason, it didn't really resonate with our audience or their audience. And, those are just learnings, and you take that information and do better next time.
What was the most surprising? I'm curious now. You're doing a lot of A/B tests. Was there something that came up where you're just like, wow, who knew that one little market would crush the way that it did?
I know. There's a lot of animal and pet influencers. Of course, everyone knows that. And we do make sound machines for dogs, because white noise has been proven to help with anxiety or, muffling fireworks. So we have actually had that's really not, should be surprising to no one that dog cute animal content does well. But, that was, I wouldn't say necessarily a target we were looking for specifically, but it kind of came to us, and then we're like, wow, this is really giving us, like, across all metrics, like a good return.
Okay. And so now, as a content creator, how do you bring that authenticity? Like, what do you think about when you're saying, I want to work with this brand, or, this doesn't fit me, or I'm not really interested here?
Yeah, I think, social media is such a vast landscape. And even though there are people that are social media experts, Instagram experts, it's so ever changing and so big. So to Molly's point about us, working together, being kind, figuring it out together, I think that's super important. But I will say one of the best partnerships I've seen recently, and it's not a competitor, so I'll talk about it, is Lindsay Girk, who is an amazing mom influencer. She was in broadcast. She's fantastic. And she talks a lot about like the struggles of motherhood. And she read somewhere that flamingos lose their color pink while they're raising their young flamingos, and then they get their pink back. So she kind of coined this phrase about getting your pink back, and she was already doing it. She had her own merch, all of that, and I was like, wow, this is so fascinating. And then she partnered with this brand, Tiny Tags, which is a jewelry brand, and Lindsay was already talking about this. She was already doing it, and they worked together to create this beautiful line of jewelry that was a co-collab. So you could see it really brought the authenticity of Tiny Tags and the authenticity of Lindsay, and it was like a marriage. It's like the perfect storm. Like you really couldn't ask for more on either side. As far as what I saw it from an outsider, I don't know like what anyone got paid or what happened or the sales around it. But strictly from an outsider perspective, I was like, oh, I want to work with Tiny Tags. Oh, I love Lindsay. Good for her. She got this incredible deal. So for me, it was like, from the brand side, yes, you have to do your research. People who are already using your products, but maybe there's a greater tie. Like as a journalist, I'm thinking, what's the angle, right? So maybe someone I never heard of yoga sleep, but I'm an exhausted mother, or I have a child who's really, I'm talking about on social media, like we're now past the 4-month sleep regression. We're doing why isn't my kid sleeping? I've talked to experts, but so I have a unique point of view where I'm like on that side and also a publisher. So I see how like the products really can come in and kind of like save the day. So to me, it is a marriage of authenticity, if that makes sense, like from the brand and the creator side.
It's like a reciprocal relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, if the relationship doesn't come from both sides, it doesn't work, right? And I think that's extremely important. What social media network are you all bullish on at the moment?
I mean, TikTok goes without saying. We've kind of approached it in different ways, which is like creating original content, lots of product seeding. But what we're realizing now as we're like working on, upcoming campaigns or product launches, TikTok is now a search platform. So especially millennial parents are going to TikTok and just searching for such specific search terms. How to help my baby sleep during daily savings time. But yeah, so now our thoughts are really going to, okay, so how do we improve our search engine results on TikTok? And then also recently TikTok very recently announced that they're also getting into shoppable commerce, social commerce. They want to compete with Amazon. So I think just making sure that we're a part of those conversations and showing up in results in the right places is kind of a big challenge and something.
So are you more focused on TikTok at this point? Are you more focused on Instagram, your podcast? Where are you in
I'm a true millennial, and so I am Instagram. I never really got into any Twitter or the new Threads, but I feel like Instagram is like that stable, like it's always going to be there until it's not. But but I will say I love the live selling. I do a bit of on my side hustle, I do some QVC and stuff, and I just think it's wild that the live stream selling, real time selling is coming back in such a way for this for millennials and Gen Z. I think it's fantastic. People want to see. I mean, think about the conversion there, to buy in real time, to see a product in real time. I think it's fantastic, and I'm all for it.
So specifically, live selling, you mentioned QVC. So you're actually on QVC from time to time?
I represent a few brands on QVC, and I also remember sitting with my mother in the early, in the early 90s, and that was her favorite thing to watch. So I think people are genuinely interested in products, especially when they can make their lives easier. Everybody is getting into commerce, and it's and same thing. I can tell you, Shop Today does a shop all day thing on their streaming platforms. I mean, it's massively saturated and untapped at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying is it's everywhere, but that specificity, if you can bring that specificity and that authenticity, you can really be successful. Yeah. So, let's talk brass tacks. To make this work, you need your tracking, right? So I'm going to tell a secret that I know the two of you know, but not everyone knows. Promo codes are so we know who's buying and where they got there from.
Right.
So how do you make sure that you get that content in the right place? If it's on TikTok, if it's on Twitch, if it's on a YouTube live, a Facebook live, all those kinds of places. So what are the kinds of things the brands are thinking about to make sure that gets to them? Gets to the influencers?
Sure. I mean, again, what you said, we call them vanity promo codes. Any kind of e-commerce platform you're on. So for us, it's Shopify. It's super easy to generate those. And, just making sure that you're giving them a compelling enough offer that for the right product. And that's one thing we did learn is sometimes, we'll be pushing a specific new product launch and we'll try to send out, promo codes, big campaign. But at the end of the day, the creator, they want to talk about our product that they personally love. So sometimes we just kind of have to pivot a little bit, okay, well, we'll help you do a promo code for that, something that's for them they love specifically. But yeah, I think just that visibility really does help us track. Of course, there's other ways to track through attribution, Google Analytics. A huge part of our business is Amazon. I'm sure many folks know Amazon in terms of metrics can be just a black box. They actually just released Amazon Attribution. It was in beta for a while. So that's something that we're looking into now. So we actually just did our first creator campaign it's kind of different platforms working together. So they used affiliate links, they had a promo code, and then we all ported that into Amazon Attribution, and we were able to report, metrics and sales, traffic in Amazon, which was very exciting for us because it's been really difficult up until then.
Wait, so you're able to take your promo codes directly from Shopify and put them into Amazon at this point?
So it was actually through an affiliate, like a sub-affiliate platform that the creator used.
Okay.
And Amazon, no, they have their own system, and you can create Amazon promo codes. We don't always do that necessarily, but the other fun thing about Amazon, folks might not know, sometimes Amazon puts our products on discount. They just do it, and you have no control over it. So a lot of times that will really drive conversions, and folks will just drive a link to a specific sound machine, and if it's one they really like, a top selling, the conversions are great. So that's kind of a way around it.
Okay, now so we're talking about affiliate links. We're talking about that in terms of compensation for the creators from the creator perspective. Do you like getting promo codes from brands? How do you feel about that?
I do, and I do understand the whole like the back end of it, like why the brands do it. They want to track, but I also think it's great from a creator perspective as well, because it is kind of like an exclusive gift you're giving just to your readers. And one of my favorite things that I'm seeing as of late is, an influencer will come on and talk about a product they genuinely love, and they'll even tag it like not an ad. And then 5 minutes late, not 5 minutes, but a few, maybe a day, maybe even, I've actually seen it quickly, maybe if they've worked with the brand before, I got a promo code for you guys. Like if you're going through somebody's stories on Instagram, they're talking about a beautiful product that they use to get ready or something, and then in the afternoon they're like, I got a code for you guys, use this. And so I think that's really smart on the brands. Like they're really aware, they're have their finger on the button, they know what influencers are talking about their products when, and they're able to quickly jump in and monetize almost in real time. So I think that's fantastic.
Totally, especially if the creator, like they're already having the conversation, their audience is primed, they already have interest in that, and then to be able to jump in, and it, like what you said, it really gives like an added value. Like, hey, this is a unique code that I have just for you, and that's really, for a creator, that's gold, is being able to have kind of these like value that you're bringing to your followers.
And in terms of on these campaigns, do you have a sense of the scale of how many creators Yoga Sleep's working with at any one time?
That's a little hard to answer. It's kind of always in flux, right? So,
Sure.
And we also do so many different like tiers of creator relationships. So with some folks based on follower count, but some folks are so small, but we're happy to send you, sound machines of your choice to test out and try. And there's no assumption there that they're even going to post, right? For us, it's just, we like what you're doing. We like your content. We want you to try this product out. And if you love it and post about it, that's great. But that's kind of like the first start of the relationship there. And then we do work with other, larger influencers, creators, and through managers, and we do just fully paid contract, very formal. But I would say, if we're doing like a big product launch, we build out a goal list of like maybe 150 to 100, and then kind of take it from there, start with, pitching and outreach. But, we have those kind of organic brand ambassadors. They're just always talking about us and always linking back to us at any given time. And we really just nurture those relationships with the tools that we have. But it's always in flux for sure. I mean, if we had a larger team, sure, we would be working with more, even with these great tools and platforms, it's a lot of work. It's still a lot of work at the end of the day, and I like to look at it from more of like a PR point of view, right? Like automation is wonderful and helps, but it's still really about these like authentic kind of back and forth that you have with creators.
Yeah, I mean, with all the talk about AI and automation and all those kinds of things, it's really important to understand if it was easy, everyone would just be pushing a button.
Right.
And so it's working for the companies that really know how to do it and are using the right tools. But it's not like buying a Google ad.
No, it's not like programmatic, right? Google, Meta, where you just set it, forget it, right? So like these are real people, and especially when you're working with moms or parents, like their time is valuable. So I feel like as a brand, you have to be sensitive to that. I mean, here's a little anecdote. We worked with a pretty big creator recently. She's pregnant with her third child, and she had, a set upon date to post content, but she, was very heavily pregnant that day or week, and for various reasons, like just could not make the deadline. And we were okay, it's not always so time bound.
Wait a second. So you didn't say you're fired because you are 9 months pregnant and didn't post today?
We did not.
Wow. I mean, you guys are really nice to your influencers.
We are nice, right?
I'm just going to say it.
No, so we really you just have to take that into account, just all those considerations.
Yeah, and speaking of timing, right? A lot of people want to know, how long does this take, right? It's not programmatic. It's not, I'm going to just go in and set something. It takes time back and forth. So let's take how long would it take from basically the start of a concept of a campaign, but even just from the influencer side, you have to do something. It's not immediate, right? How long does it take for you to know what you need to do in order to create content that works?
Yeah, I mean, if there's usually a deadline, right? So you are usually working up against a deadline, and if you're fortunate enough to work with a lovely company like Yoga Sleep, where again, deadlines.
Influencers paradise over here.
Right.
Oh, we don't care about deadlines at Yoga Sleep.
We care about deadlines too, but
that's really great to hear, because that's what we need. For a lot of us, this is our side hustle, right? This isn't our full-time job.
Yeah.
So we're pregnant, or we have kids, or we have 9 to 5. So it's
you
lovely.
have to take kids from one swim class to one sports class to Italy.
Right. But to answer your question, I would say for me about 2 weeks. I was recently did a campaign, and I actually had the day to go and try out the product. It was like an in-store kind of activation thing, and I had to bring my kid. I wasn't planning on bringing it, but I ended up bringing my 7-year-old, and we put him in the campaign. And so like that, so I think it's important for brands to be sort of not reactive, but accepting of okay, you hired me for a reason, and maybe I gave you something different or something, but that's still me, right? Yes, so now my 7-year-old is in the campaign trying out a $30,000 massage chair, but you know what?
Hey, listen, I first off, I want that massage chair. I would like this gig. But okay, so and that's another thing, right? Working with influencers, you're working with creative people.
Right.
I want to ask, how do you make sure that you get your guidelines across without stifling creativity? Because it's the creativity that really speaks to the audience.
Right. So with any kind of paid engagement that we do have briefs. So we try to make them as short and easily, you don't want to send a brief that's more than even 2 pages long, because again, these are busy people. We really focus on key bullet points. Our brand guidelines are, if you do your pre-vetting correctly, you don't need to be not so much will hinge on the brief, because you already see this, their content that's out there, and you've chose them because they fit your brand already. But yeah, creative briefs are big, and usually what we do is we say, hey, here's 2 or 3 talking points, or 5, just choose 1 or 2 that resonate with you and try to include that. But we don't want people reading from scripts, and we want it to just feel real and genuine. And if they, say something slightly off, it's not the end of the day. Again, with products for children or baby, there are a lot of safety considerations. So that is another thing that we, it's so case by case with products, where it's sometimes you do need to really get very granular of don't place this too close to the baby's head, and this is why. But it's good because it's an opportunity to provide product education to the creator as well.
I like to work like that too. I like when brands give me a brief and a guideline, and then sort of just are a little bit hands off in that way. I think that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
But I do like, as a parenting editor perspective, that you are aware of the safety guidelines. I think that's really important.
Yeah, that is important. And we see also with other baby brands, we also are never going to guarantee this is going to give you a perfect night's sleep every single night, right? It's more like this is going to improve your life in some ways, and maybe in a larger improvement, some days maybe not, right? But that's just what the solution is. We can't guarantee anything, and that's fine.
That is so present to you, and you look around, and there are some people who give you that knowing nod that says they've been through it before, and then there are whole bunches of other people that are like, I don't understand why you don't just put the kid to sleep. And you're just like, so you have kids? No, but it's really easy. I've seen other people do it. And you're like, no.
Yeah, it's really it's a difficult thing. Parents have struggled to sleep since day one, right? It's never going to be fully solved, and that's okay. And that's just the nature of being a parent. But of course, there's ways to make it a little bit better, hopefully.
I think it does get better. I do want to say it gets better. The sleep does get better. It's really, those regressions are rough when they occur. I have been seeing, there's this great idea that Instagram is the person you want to be, but TikTok is who you actually are. When you're on TikTok, it shows you what you actually watch. And I've been getting a lot of toddler content. A lot of it's 5 a.m. and I'm here. Why aren't you getting out of bed?
Right.
That resonates with me right now. So I understand that as well. I want to thank you both for coming today. And Bethany, if people want to see your content, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram at Bethany Braun Silva. I also host a podcast called The Breakdown with Bethany. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts.
Anywhere. So Spotify, Apple, the whole 9 yards.
The whole 9.
And Molly, can you tell us where we can send people to buy these amazing yoga sleep products?
Sure. Folks can go to yogasleep.com. That's our direct to consumer website. And all our sound machines. We also sell bed-in-the-box mattress. That's wonderful. We have great content, all original content on our blog with sleep tips for everyone, whole family. So check it out.
Okay. Well, thank you both so much for being here and have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ready, Set, Click podcast. Love this episode? Hit the subscribe button, give us a like, or leave a review. Until next time.